I want to start by just getting reflections on the film itself from our panelists. And let me start with you, Brian. What did you think of the film, and what are your initial thoughts about this gathering tonight?
First, everybody know I'm straight out of Mechanicsville. So if you're from Mechanicsville, if you live in Mechanicsville, I need you to raise your hand up. We a lot in here. Anybody from Lonsdale? Lonsdale in the house tonight? Austin Holmes in the house? Walter P. First and foremost, everybody know I do this for the city. It will never be about money, cars, clothes. My father passed away when I was 2. He was from Senegal. He had to go back and fight a war. So my mom was a single mom with an older sister, an older brother that I found out that lived in Virginia. I had 2 younger sisters that I found out lived in Alcoa. So I had so many cousins spread out through this city, and I didn't know it until I got 15, 16, 17, 18. By the time now, I'm in my 20s, and I'm still like, Tukey was a son to me, and I wasn't even the father to even know it. He would hit me up to come to Foot Locker to just look at shoes. And I would be like, you don't need a discount, you're gonna be in the league. I said, trust me, I said, whenever you come back to Knoxville, I'll be an 80-year-old man working at Foot Locker. Probably, I know I'm gonna live that lifetime over and over again. I said, I'll get you shoes. I'll get them, don't worry about it. And man, one thing I miss about Tukey was just the fact that me and him could talk, and it wasn't like I was older, younger, but he called me Pops. I'm 22 years old at the time, and he called me Pops. I said, what? I said, man, I'm young enough to be your older brother. And he used to call me Pops. But I miss Tukey for the fact that he made me feel old when I was young. And my hair I'd be like, why is my cut? I'd go to games, and I'd be like, I'm losing my hair up top. He'd be like, nah, you just old. But yeah, I miss Tukey a lot. And
When you looked at the film, what did you feel?
oh man, I felt love, I felt joy. You know, I lost one of my best friends Sunday on Mother's Day, and Portia Davis. Anybody know Portia Davis that passed away? That was one of my good friends, and we never dated, but we always used to talk about, you know, all the people in Knoxville gonna make it if somebody does it the right way. It was like, you know, all you gotta do, Brian, is go to school. I was like, man, I'm not trying to go to school. I'd rather go on a snowboard, Colorado, and chill out. That's what I'd rather do. I'd rather go watch basketball with my Uncle Ken, Halloran Hill, Andre Canty, Gams. I rather would do that. I don't want to go to UT. It's not in me.
All right, so let me ask you this. Why are you here tonight?
Oh, because of guys like Andre Canty, people like her, Miss Harrison, and people like you who got kids that go to West, because they're my kids too, because if they act up, they got to see me. And they know I'm a thug. Do not let me fear you. These Ray-Bans are real. Halloran, you know me.
Yes, sir. Yes,
I am from Gross Drive. My grandmama live on McGee Street. My aunt stay on Bertram. I will hurt any one of you that drop out. Yeah. I know where you live.
So before I move on, let me ask you this. What do you want us to leave here knowing, feeling, and inspired to do?
Man, take a field trip to the Knoxville News Sentinel. Go meet Aaron Chapin. Go meet Rachel Wise. Meet guys like my man Drew, who's at UT, who tells me, hey man, you know, you gotta sharpen up. I need you to wear that cardigan. I need you to wear that UT fleece. I need you to wear this. I need you to do this commercial spot. I need you to sell Ben Franklin on. Hey, come out and get a car. They need me to do that. I gotta do it. I can't rap all the time. I love rap music. I was listening to Jay-Z in the car right now, and Big Crit. I was telling Andre, hey man, you need to get this new big crit, man. But I can't do it, man. I gotta dress for success. I can't wear the tall tees no more. I miss a tall tee. There was a time I can't even wear no tall tees.
You missed the tall tees.
Can't even do it. I'm too old.
All right. So let me move on down to Makia. Would you give me just your raw feedback on the film itself, and did you know Toukie, and why are you here tonight? Pull that microphone over to you.
Yes. So no, I did not have the pleasure of knowing Toukie. I'm not from here. I'm from Chicago, Chi-Town. Anyone? Okay. Yeah, there we go. So what I take away immediately is just I share in the sadness with the family. Was moved to tears. I had to go fix my mascara in the restroom because it hit so close to home. Not that it was my family, but that I work with youth just like your nephew, and to see what our youth consistently go through, the challenges that they struggle with, and how it's hard for them to deal with, how they're slipping through the nets that we have created. So what I take away is sadness, but then also inspiration to know that things that we do, programs that Andre does, or things that BT might do, or programs that I might be a part of, that they are making a difference and that they're needed in our community, whether we reach 1 or 10. And so I guess that's primarily what my reflection was, encouragement, but also sadness and sharing in the grief with your family.
What do you want here tonight?
I'm sorry?
What do you want here tonight? Why are you here, and what do you want the outcome of this gathering to be?
Initially, I want the community to come together, to rally around the young people that are still here, that are still struggling with everyday things, to let people to be encouraged, and to light a spark under the adults that are here who we've quote unquote lived our lives, but we've kind of sat down and taken a rest because we've done what we need to do. But that there are still youth out here that are in the struggle that need us still presently. They'll need us tomorrow, and that no small deed, no small program is too small. That everything we can do as a community, every resource that we have, can potentially save a life.
Awesome. Andre. Thank you, Makia. What do you want here tonight?
Several things. Well, first, I'll give my little feedback on the video. You know, BT, don't feel bad because everybody calls me granddad, so don't feel too bad. But it's bittersweet because we're all here to help shape things in the community, and we're also here to celebrate the life of a black man, which we're not used to other than, you know, crime and whatever. So, you know, it's sweet that we're all here, not only for the community, but for him, but it took tragedy to do that. But at the same time, as I say all the time, a phoenix rise from the ashes. So with the tragedy that happened to him, you know, not only will we will all rise up, because we all saw what happened. You know, death is also a teacher. You know, we see it as this bad thing, and it is truly a bad thing, but it teaches us how to live. He just taught you how to live, because you're going to live on through him. And that's the only way to honor him. His physical body is dead. We all know that. But as long as you keep telling stories like this, not only about what he has done, but positive stories about what other people has done, he will forever be immortal. And where's Dre at? You'll make it, man. Like, yeah. Don't even doubt it, dog.
You're gonna make it, Dre.
You'll make it.
We will push you to make it. You're gonna make it.
And I wish anybody could step in your way, because I'll be there.
We will. We will be there.
Right. But basically what I'm trying to explain to people, illustrate, is that I'm related to him through the struggle as a young black man in Knoxville. You know, like my brother played basketball with him. And of course, you know, what happened to his sister. A year after that, it happened to me, because I was involved. I was shot in the drive-by myself back at Austin Homes in '96. So through that, and what happened to him, because I also lost at least 5 to 7 people from South Door who were also black. And I also lost somebody named Justin Walker, who died in a car crash, who is also, he shares a name with another Justin Walker, who died 7 years ago. and they're both dead. So I celebrated the birthday of the older Justin Walker, which was Thursday, and then Sunday, have to mourn the loss of the younger Justin Walker, who I went to school with both of them. And of course, Portia Davis was also my best friend's sister. So I'm related through the struggle. And when I said that I felt he was a part of me, and I felt that, you know, vice versa, was because, again, through the struggle. He was born in the 90s, I was born in the 80s. We grew up through the same struggles, you know, single mom struggle, death. You gotta understand that as a black man who was raised during that time, death is always looming over you. You know, a lot of kids are thinking about Lunchables, Sega Genesis, and I played my Sega Genesis, Street Fighter. I played that. I watched my little Batman on Fox News, on Fox Kids. But also, I had to embrace the fact that death was always coming for me, even though I was a little kid. And that's why I talked about in the video how the early to mid 90s was a turbulent time. You know, Brittany didn't make it. And if the bullet went into me, I got grazed. If it went into me, Lord knows what happened. I probably wouldn't be sitting here today. But during that time, it was a lot of gang violence and drug warfare, and whoever was around was collateral damage. And that's exactly what happened. You know, and what I'm seeing this summer is a repeat of that. There's been 3 killings in the last couple of months, and the summer is hot. So I'm seeing a repeat of that. So I think what we should get out of here is that, yes, we're celebrating his life. We're making him immortal. At the same time, we're gonna make every person in here immortal and equipped with the tools to handle this world. This world is cruel, but you have to be good to overcome that cruelness. And hopefully, we can, you know, pick up the right tools or give the right person the right tools to try to fight that. Because in old African countries, you know, the elders taught the warriors how to fight, and the warriors fought. A lot of us don't have the spears, and when we do get the spears, we're using on each other. So, you know, today we're telling the kids that pick up the spear, but I'll show you how to use it. That's what we're trying to do today.
All right, thank you, Andre. Jack, let me ask you, why did you say yes to this?
Well, you know, I'll tell you, seeing this video here tonight was more powerful than any time I'd seen it before, and I thought it was pretty powerful every other time.
Let's try to pull that up. Try to use this one.
It really, it touched me, as I think it touched everybody in this room. There's a terrible sadness. For me, there's a fear. I've got kids. My youngest son graduated with Tukey. I mean, he was in the same class at West High School, and he didn't do that great this past year either. He had some struggles, and he said to me, "Well, this is supposed to be the best time of my life," and I said to him, "You're out of your mind. This is a hard time for you to make this transition from going from being a child to being an adult, and it's hard to do, and it's always been hard to do, and it was especially hard for Tukey." I guess I said yes to this because you hear the story of Tukey's life, and you don't want it to just be a story that ends, like you were talking about the period. You want to have something come of that. And from the standpoint of the News Sentinel, I saw what some talented people there did, telling a story. And I didn't want that to stop there either. I wanted to see if something more could come of it, and some good could come out of the tragedy that happened with Tukey, and the journalism that then happened in the News Sentinel. I wanted to see if we could take it further, so that's what I was hoping to come out of it.
All right. Would you hand me this sheet of paper that's right here? I need the notes on that right there. We have several resources here, and are there any young people in the room that are 12 and under? If you're 12 and under, would you please come stand here in front of the room here, all of you that are 12 and under?
Come on, get up. Come on. Come on. Come on.
Just stand in a line right here for us. Do we still have that wireless microphone? I see some other people that look like they're 12 and under. I want all of the 12 and unders up. I see. What? Is it on now? I want all the 12 and unders up. Are they 13? Come on, I'll walk up with you. You want me to walk up with you? You want to stay there? You can stay there. Bring the 13 up too. I want 13. Come on up. Who else is? So let me do this, because when I saw that one image at the first funeral, I thought to myself, Tukey was one of these young people here. So I want us to meet them, because this is really, when I thought, what do I want this evening? I don't want us to lose one of these. Do you agree with that? Okay, so I want you to tell me your name, tell me where you go to school, and tell me what your dreams are.
My name is Jadarius Humphrey. I go to Bearden Middle School, and hopefully I can become a basketball player.
All right, he wants to be a basketball player. What's your name anyway?
My name is Karaya Browson. I go to Spring Hill Elementary, and I want to be a pediatrician doctor.
She wants to be a doctor. How old are you?
11.
11. Do you think she can do it? Yeah. Okay. What's your name?
My name is Kyrie Browson. I go to Holston Middle School, and I want to be a football player.
How old are you?
12.
12 years old.
My name is Xavier Dobson. I'm 11.
What do you want to do?
Football player.
Football player. All right.
My name is Jamison McCoy, and
Say it again.
my name is Jamison McCoy, and I'm 11 years old, and I go to Bearden Elementary School, and I want to be a basketball player.
My name is Zach Dobson. I go to Northwest, and when I grow up, I want to be an entrepreneur.
Let's give them all a big round of applause. You can take your seat. You can have a seat. So, what strikes me about that is that was Tukey. His family knows that. Don't you remember when he was that size and had those aspirations? So we have some resources here. Here in the audience with us tonight, and Portia, I want to ask you a question. We have Portia Wynn, PhD in counseling, psychology, and statistics. She's a nationally certified counselor. She works with Helen Ross McNabb. She's been working in the community for 4 years. One of the notes that I made to myself as I was watching the film, I think it was Nikki that said in the film, something wasn't right. Something wasn't right when he went away. The question I'm sitting here with tonight is, where did we miss? What clue, what sign? I see these young people here that are just so full of potential and a community willing to embrace that potential. Obviously, he was all smiles, everybody thought everything, but when he got disconnected from community, something wasn't right. Can you give us kind of some insight into what to look for so we don't miss? Because I don't want to miss with any of these.
Hi. If we would think back to the video, a lot of people, I think Dre said that, you know, I just didn't want to be the one to talk to him about this. And I think his girlfriend was saying that I saw this in him, and, you know, a lot of people didn't see this. So we didn't miss anything, we just didn't address it. And a lot of times, as, you know, If we just want to be real, as the African American community, we don't want to talk about depression and wanting to commit suicide and the struggles that we go through. We feel that we all go through these types of struggles and that we just have to do it alone or just grit and bear it. And what we are missing is using the resources within the community, which are out there for us on an everyday basis if we want to use them. So we didn't miss anything, we just kind of didn't address.
Okay, so let me follow up with you with this question. Why don't we address? I know for men in particular, men don't like to admit that they're at that point. How many men in the audience have been at a point where you thought, it's a wrap, I give up, I want to be out? Anybody in this, any men in the room felt like that? Have you ever acknowledged that to anybody though? Yeah, why don't we?
Sense of pride.
Sense of pride?
You know what I'm saying? Honestly, you got to throw your pride out the window. Because, man, sense of pride and all that, man, throw it out the window, man. Go talk to somebody. Somebody's been through what you've gone through. I used to have problems at the radio station. I used to feel, I keep doing this every Saturday night for my city, and dudes get mad at me if I play one of my friends or somebody's music who's good. I'm done with this. I don't need it. I ain't got time for this. I got a class Friday. I got a paper Monday. I ain't got time for this. I don't have time to stroke nobody's ego about something that I did. Look, I'm a man. You a man. Do your thing. A man is not a man if he can't zip up his own pants. You hear me? Everybody. A man ain't a man if he can't zip up his own pants. So I don't need anybody to do anything for me, but I will talk to somebody. I had you to talk to. I said, you know what, Hal, you know, I'm about to be done with this. I'm about to get my degree. I don't want to do I don't want to do radio. I don't want rap. I don't even want to watch basketball. I quit watching my favorite game. I quit watching basketball, y'all. I didn't even watch basketball. I only watch basketball for shoes, to see what I'm going to get somebody at the teen center if they got good grades, and I won't tell nobody. Well, my secret's out. The secret's out. Hey, donate your shoes to the Moses Teen Center, because there's probably another Tukey in Phoenix. There's probably another Tukey in Wisconsin named Nick Van Exel. There's probably another Tukey in North Carolina named Michael Jordan. There's a Tukey everywhere.
So you say it's pride. It's something inside of you that doesn't want to do it. If family members, do you have anything that you want to say tonight about your experience with Tukey? Would you like to say something? Let's get her the mic. I think it's really important what Portia said is you see it, but you just, how do you address it? What's your name?
Jaquilla Daniels.
And how are you related?
I'm his first cousin.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of times when you talk to somebody about something, because I talked to him a lot about stuff that he was going through, but it's not that I didn't want to address it, it's that I didn't know the right words to say. I didn't know how to really talk to him and get inside of him, because I always felt like, well, I can say much, but I can't say everything that I really want to say, because whether I say the right thing or whether I say the wrong thing, he still has that feeling, and you can't really get inside of somebody, because you're never going to know how somebody really feels. So we addressed it, well, me and Tukey addressed it, but I didn't know the right words to say all the time.
What would he say to you?
He just really missed his family. He just wanted that, and no matter how much we did, because we felt like we were there, we was his family, but it's like no one could take that place of his mother or his father or his sister. I'm his sister. To me, I was his sister, but I could never take that place of Brittany. My auntie, my mama, was his mama. but they could never take that place of Otoya. My uncle, my granddaddy, is his father, but they couldn't take his place. They couldn't take Philip's place. So it's like we were there as much as we could be, but we still couldn't break that hole in his heart. We couldn't fill that hole in his heart.
Right.
So we did as much as we could do.
Talk to me a little bit about what happened when he left, what family he did know, and that connection, because I'm sure you guys felt that, because he probably felt a separation that none of us could really understand, given the loss he had in his life.
You talking about when he passed, or
when he went away to college?
To college. I talked to him a lot when he went to college. I think he felt alone when he was here because he didn't have his domestic family. And I think when he left off to college, it hit him even harder because he didn't have the family that he had with us. He had our support, but he still felt lonely. That's how, when he talked to me, he kept saying, man, cousin, I want everybody to come and see me. I was like, we're going to see you. We're going to come to your games and everything. Just stay in college and stuff. We're going to come and see you. You know, we got your back. We always talked to him. We always sent him stuff, but he just felt a sense of loneliness all the time. We couldn't feel that. We couldn't do nothing about it. I felt like I couldn't do nothing. I kept telling Tukey, what can I do? I was asking my granddad, I was asking people, what can I say? What do I say to him? When I talked to him the day he passed, I didn't know what to say.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you for being so honest with us tonight. So exactly what you said, we as a community sense what's going on, but we may not be equipped to respond in a way that helps to lift a person, especially with that kind of catastrophic brokenness that's already in place. I mean, you as a family tried to do everything you could to fill a hole that was bigger than your capacity to fill it. I mean, when you lose that much, that young. Let me ask his best friend, would you come to the microphone, because I feel like maybe you have something that you could share with the community, because the first question is, how do we recognize what's going on, and then how do we respond in a way that makes us more adept so we don't miss? What would you like to say tonight?
The last few days, straight, the last 3 days he lived, he'll text me and be like, man, I'm going through some stuff. And I try, but I don't, like she said, you don't know what to say, because I wasn't there. Normally, if we wanted to talk to me, I was there. He could come to my house. Anything he needed, I was there, but I wasn't there, and I feel like I should have been there. We talked about everything, no matter what it was, everything, and it was just I couldn't get to him like I wanted to tell him. Over the phone just didn't do it. It just didn't do it. Text messages just couldn't do it. I couldn't see how he was feeling when he was sending it to me. Over the phone just didn't do it.
Do you carry any guilt? Does it bother you?
Nah, no guilt at all. I mean, sometimes I think if I would have been home and not where I was at, he could have came to me, could have came to my house, and we could have talked about anything he wanted to. He could have came to my house anytime, middle of the night too, he'd come to my house, we talk about anything.
What was a red flag for you? What was something that he said or did that made you go, this is serious for him?
It was out of the blue. He had changed his number, and I hadn't talked to him for 2 or 3 weeks, and it was just this text. It just read, he just texted me and said, I love you, and I just want you to just do everything you gotta do. And I was like, what you talking about? He was like, I'm gonna talk to you another day, but just make it. I got in some trouble. So I texted him the next morning. It was like, what's wrong with you? It's just I've just got into some stuff, but I love you, dude. And just the last 3 days, he told me he loved me. I told him I love him. I said, I love you, dude. Don't do nothing crazy. For 3 days straight, he wouldn't tell me what was going on. He was just like, I love you. Just do it for both of us. I love you. I thought he had got in trouble with the law or something. He was just like, I love you. I got into some stuff, and I would call him and be like, what's wrong? The last day I talked to him, and he sounded like he was fine. He was just thinking a lot. And I told him, because normally, just me and him. If we had a problem, we try and get in the gym, try to play basketball somewhere. I told him, I said, go play ball, take your mind off of it, whatever you got on your mind, 'cause that's what clears it. Just take your mind. He said, all right, I'm gonna do that, and then it just happened.
Let me ask you one more question before you sit down, and thanks for being so honest tonight. Has his death changed the way you are approaching life? And has it changed you as a young man in your willingness to open up and to reach out for help yourself? How has it impacted and changed you?
It changed me one way is whatever it takes to get where I gotta get, I'm gonna get there. And that's the mentality. When I went back to school after the funeral, it was whatever it took. I was if I had to run through a wall to get there, I was gonna get there for me and my brother. And like, it haven't changed how I am. It's just, actually, it makes me not really want to think about stuff today. I really wasn't gonna come here because I don't like thinking about it. I can't stand thinking about it. Like the fact that my best friend is gone, and that I have to. There's a lot of pressure on me now that my best friend is gone, and like I didn't want to come here. I mean, like it was, but it's just like.
Hey, we thank you for being courageous enough to be here. Portia, why don't you respond to what you just witnessed there, since this is what you do? Because I think some significant things are happening in the room as family members are sharing this story. See, my fear is that part of what happens, and this happens particularly in some parts of the country and in some communities, there's a real fear to get counseling. There's a stigma to seeking help. There's a stigma. If you have to go talk to somebody, if you have to get counseling, somehow you're weaker or you're less than. Men especially don't like to do that. That's the punk move. I got this. When in actuality, if you don't pressure bust a pipe. So he said he didn't like to think about this at all. He didn't want to go there. I'm trying to get beyond it.
And that's normal for him to not want to think about that. And it is a stigma for us to not want to go get counseling or tell somebody else our problems. What are we going to do here? Okay. And like his cousin said, they were talking about it all the time. And that's the first step, is actually talking to the person to try to fill them out and then say, well, maybe you should go see somebody professionally. And a lot of times we may use our pastor or other people who don't have the capacity to really get us through the problems that we're going through. And just having a person to reach out to us on the first basic level like they were doing is a really good step. And then just taking that second step and saying, look, let's go get some help somewhere else. I'll go with you if you need me to. We can make this a family affair. Whatever it is that we have to do, that's what we'll do, because at the end of the day, you're not worried about a stigma. You're worried about your loved one here that you want to keep here, and you want to resolve these issues that they're having.
All right. Thank you, Portia. Let me say this. I want to do something here. I want to just acknowledge the family for doing everything you could to try to help him. We just need to acknowledge you. That's really powerful. I think I see his girlfriend here. Did I see his girlfriend here? Do you have something you'd like to say? Because I wanted to kind of, in this first kind of run, I wanted to talk to the people who actually lived his life with him. Would you like to say something?
Well, I really don't have much to say. I just know that he was a very happy person. Like other people, he had been through a lot, but his story was so unique to me, because to live for that long without the closest part to you is not easy. No, I haven't been through it, but I seen it. Like, I seen it in his eyes every day. Every time he smiled, I seen it. I seen the hurt. I seen him trying to be strong. I tried my hardest to keep him strong. A lot of people didn't see it because he was so happy and he kept everybody laughing. But when you're with someone so much, eventually they break. And he would just let me know how much he missed his mom, and like I would just console him, you're strong, but after so much, I think it was too much for him to actually have on his shoulders. I can say that he loved his family dearly. All he talked about to me was how much he talks to Quill and how much he loves Jakia and his aunties. Like, they're my second family, like, and will always be. And I really just want everybody, like, in the room to know the troubled children need help. Like, not just, like, being bad and, like, shooting and all of that stuff, but there are things that children go through, that younger kids go through, that older people are not addressing the way that they should. I really came because I feel that I want everyone to know that we should engage more into what's going on in the younger people's minds these days. Because to me, this is the worst that I've seen this city. This is the saddest that I've seen this city, the most depressed from losing so many people. And I feel like instead of actually trying to reach out and do something about it, we're just staying down in this depressed area, depressed section of life. And I just really wanted everybody to, like, think about reaching out to the people who really, really need help. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So I want to open up the floor to those of you who are here tonight that have something to say as it relates to his death and what we need to do to prevent that from happening in our community. Any comments that you might have on this? And I also want to welcome our panel back for any observations you have given where we are at this point in the program. I guess my first observation is pretty simple. It's as much as we might act tough, we need each other. We honestly need each other. And when young people are crying out for help or acting out or whatever they're doing, it really is them saying, I need you. We need the connections that we have to one another. And I don't think we need to miss that sometimes it is just being connected. They did this survey, and they had people sit in a room by themselves, and they had the participants in the survey put their foot in a bucket of ice, and then they would time to see how long you could take the pain. What they found was if you had one other person in the room with you, you could take the pain twice as long, just from having the presence of somebody with you through what you're going through, just somebody being present. And being with somebody doesn't mean you're present. It just means you're there. But when you're with somebody, they feel you. Even if you don't know what to say, they feel you feeling them. And I think we need to acknowledge the fact that we need each other. So I want to open up the floor. If anybody has comments, right over here.
My name is Cheryl Rollins, and first of all, I want to congratulate all of you and thank all of you, Jack with the News Sentinel, and those of you who have come here today to share your story, to share your hearts, what's in your heart, what's in your mind. The reason I came here tonight is because I wanted to learn as an older person, what can I do to help these young people? And one of the things that I hope that happens today is that from this group of people that are here today, you know, you can start a revolution anywhere, but we must have, I hope, a list of names of places and or buildings or people or something that when depression stalks the mind of these young people, that they have some place to go, they have someone to talk to anonymously. I don't think we can ever underestimate the African American community's feeling of shame when it comes to depression. It's seen as a weakness, especially in our young black males. And they've had a really difficult time with a lot of the negative publicity because of the recent murders, and I didn't know that that was going on because I'm not a young black male, but I had a young black male to tell me, I feel so worthless because of what was going on with the trial. I referred him to talk to someone at 100 Black Men, you know, because I felt a black male could communicate with him better than I could. But can we get from this meeting here today a list of names or places or people and just have it printed and saturated in the city so that, saturate the churches so that if we can touch one person who may be suicidal, who can look at that piece of paper and decide to call someone and save his or her life, then this meeting will do more than you could ever imagine.
All right,
Thank you so much.
So let me tell you, thank you very much. So let me tell you about some of the resources that are in the room tonight. Portia is here tonight, and she's definitely a resource. Where's Ann Young? Ann, where are you? Is Ann still here with us? Ann Young is here amongst us. She's with the Tennessee Suicide Prevention Network. There she is. Ann, would you come up so everybody can see you? She's here tonight, and she has literature and resources. Mark Wolf with K-Town Youth Empowerment Network. Where's Mark? Mark, would you stand up so we can see you as well? Emily Schuneman. Emily, would you stand up? She's with Helen Ross McNabb Center. These are resources that are in the room tonight, and you might want to gather their information. I think you also have printed resources here that people can take with them. So exactly what you've requested is here in the room, and there's a way to propagate this or get this out. So if you would make sure that you touch base with these people so that if you find yourself in a situation where you don't know what to say, at least you have resources. You can say, hey, you could call this person or that person, if that makes sense. Do you have any comments that you want to make tonight?
I want to say that this is a wonderful thing you're doing tonight. This is how healing occurs, is by saying things out loud that need to be said, by acknowledging them. You honor Tuki's memory. And so I am very proud to be here tonight and to listen to what's been said. I am the regional chair of the East Tennessee Suicide Prevention Network, was appointed by the governor to his Suicide Advisory Council. We meet, it's a grassroots effort. It's those of us who are passionate about suicide prevention get together and meet. Our mission is to educate, to make the public aware of suicide prevention. So I ask you to join us. We meet the third Thursday of every month at the Mental Health Association, and it's our mission to provide the kind of information and education that we've been talking about tonight. So we're glad to do that. We do that out of love and passion about this topic, and anything you need, just ask. I've got all kinds of information in the back. I'd love to give it to you.
All right, any of our panelists have any comments?
I'll go. Okay. Can everybody hear me? Okay. They told me I had to speak up a little louder. But what everybody was saying as far as not speaking out about depression, about depression being a black male, or just being a male period, it really hit me because, again, as most people know, I'm quiet, I have a quiet demeanor. And I've been depressed, for a while, and it's probably the first time my mom has ever heard this. She's in the back, but I kept it to myself because as a black man, you're like a walking tank. Because you're already depressed because you're born a criminal. You have that. You're born a criminal because institutionalized racism, and then you're also a born target because of other black males. So you have to live with that, and then live with the fact that you can't talk to anybody about that because you don't want to seem weak. You don't want to seem vulnerable. There's a bunch of hyper masculinity that comes into the hood. You cannot talk to anybody about that. We always know, and there's always this joke, like when anybody's sick, your mom would tell you to go to bed. Like, I got a stomachache, go to bed. Or I'm going through something, go to bed. You know, I mean, it's a joke, but I mean, that's what goes on. You know, you go to bed about it. You'll be all right. Take some Robitussin. You know, you'll be all right about it. You know, it's a joke, but at the same time, there's always truth and jest. You know, and like, I never talked about it, so I acted out. So again, I was quiet because I made good grades. I was a bad guy in a sense. So when people preyed upon me, instead of talking it out, I fought it out. And like I said, I only made it because of who my mom is and all through that. And there was no black males during that time to talk to. People ask me all the time, who inspired me? That's a male. No one. No one. Like my mother, yes. But as far as males, there were no one. Like I'm part of the 100 Black Men. And I was brought into it. You know, there's programs like 100 Black Men, Eli's Escape, you know, like Tribe One. Like we know about this now. I didn't know about it back then. There wasn't a man my age or older to talk about these things. So I acted out. But I was still smart because I fought outside the schools. I never got in trouble because my mom's a bodybuilder. So I never got in trouble in that sense. But the pain was still there. You know, the pain was still there, and that's why, in the sense that Tukey was stronger than me because he talked to his best friend about it. I talked to no one about it. And Lord knows how I made it, but I did. But at least he talked to people about it. And that goes back to the elders, you know. Again, what I mentioned before, we had the spears, and the elders had to teach us how to use the spears. Otherwise, we're going to turn on each other, you know. And that goes back generations. Our fathers didn't talk about that. Our grandfathers certainly didn't talk about that, and they went through Great Depression and World War II. So when we going through, we're kind of spoiled compared to what they went through as far as the Depression, World War II, and the Civil Rights Movement. You didn't talk about that. You didn't talk about Vietnam. So you coming as a black male in the 90s talking about, you know, your little problems and games. Well, I've been through too much, you know, and you like your young whippersnapper, what do you know? So again, that powder keg, it gets deeper and deeper, and after a while it explodes. And that's why I think, you know, again, we should be more vulnerable and embrace that vulnerability because we're all human, you know. And then also at the same time, I know a lot of people think that, all right, black men don't talk about this. This is a white thing. Black people don't kill themselves. This is what white people do. But you'd be surprised. He wasn't the only one who killed himself. I lost people. And then at the same time, the top rappers in the 90s, Tupac and Biggie, their whole career was about talking about death, life after death, ready to die.
Death on the corner.
Right, death on the corner. You know, Tupac opened up a song, you know, I wake up every morning, I ask myself, is life worth living? Should I blast myself? I'm tired of being poor and even worse, I'm black, my stomach hurts, so I'm looking for a purse to snatch. That's Tupac. One of the most heralded rappers, and not just rappers of black men of all time, but with all his riches and all his glory, he still felt that this life is not worth it. I'm gonna blast myself right now, but at least I'm gonna tell you about it. So we talked about it before. For some reason, you know, culture shifted to where like we don't talk about this stuff anymore. Rappers don't talk about this stuff anymore. So again, we're bottled up inside again because Tupac gone and Biggie's gone, and they died. So now we have to live on that legacy. And also Tupac was talking about carry on the legacy. You know, like everybody back in the olden days, you know, when you were Prince, your king did something. So you were Prince, you had a dynasty. We have to build our own dynasties, and that's very hard to do. And again, at the end of the day, you know, come back and need to be more vulnerable and embrace that vulnerability for everybody.
I got something. It's probably my last thing I'm gonna say. A lot of the dudes who helped me through even my hard times of standing in the room, DeAndre Jackson, you stand up, let everybody know who you are. My main man Drew at UT. I see you, Drew. My friend LC, who I talk to probably not as much as I need to, but I need to be reaching out. Bunny Oaks, Russ Smith, my Uncle Ken, my Uncle Dean, Marcus Jackson, Doug Coase. These are people I talk to when I'm having problems. Gam. Dwayne Bragg, y'all know him as DJ Nice One on 90.3. Hubert Smith. I lost one of my best friends at 10 years old. And Gam used to tell him to walk me home so nobody wouldn't mess with me. I lost Zuki. Every day for the past, it's a lot of 365s in a year, right? So you got to think every day I say, Zuki, I messed up. Zuki, I didn't read my Proverbs. Zuki, I'm going to go holler at Gam. I still talk to Zuki every night. I talk to Tuki too. I'm in my movie room. I'm writing down my plans. I'm like, you know what? After I talk to Halloran Hill, after I talk to Ty Polo, I got to talk to Rodbo Wisdom so I can get my wisdom for the day. I got to talk to Adrian Tate because he's a knucklehead and that's my cousin and I love him. These are the people I talk to every day. I lost my best friend at 10. You guys lost your best friend at 17, 18, 19, maybe 20. I lost my best friend at 10. I still talk to him every day. And he tells me the same story every day. Do it for Andewar Shell. Do it for Mimi. Do it for Mechanicsville. Do it for the ladies basketball team. Do it for us. Do it for the New Sentinel. Do it for Andre Canny. Do it for Miss Harrison. Do it for Glenda Tate. Do it for Bunny Oaks. Do it for Stuart Oaks. I got to do it for all them. Because if I don't.
Makia, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Yeah, a couple of things. So the first thing we addressed is not knowing, and I think one of the most important things we can do is to educate ourselves to become aware, and that's as simple as going on Google and looking up depression signs. With youth, you know, they talk about it in terms of hopelessness. So things that you previously liked to do that you don't like doing anymore. So if you have a child that loves to play ball and isn't playing ball anymore, or loves to sing or loves to go to church and isn't doing that, that's a warning sign. In young men, depression doesn't look like sulking. Depression could look like aggression, right, as Andre talked about. So there are things that we need to become aware of in order to help combat it. There's this thing called the Knox Youth Risk Behavior Survey that comes about, and it talks about the statistics about the risk-taking behaviors that kids in Knox County are involved in. And so when it came to how many of you were hopeless, so hopeless that you stopped doing things you previously loved for 2 weeks in a row, 30% of black youth who responded said they had been hopeless. But when it got down to how many of you actually made a plan to commit suicide, or how many of you have attempted suicide, when it got to the black students, the data was unreliable. They didn't have reliable data for the black students, but for the white students, they were able to have those statistics. So to me, that says when it gets to the point to where they're trying to make a plan or thinking about it, they stop talking. They won't even report it in an anonymous survey. And so when we talk about people helping, make it your business. You know, I used to go and speak to kids and middle and high school students about mental health awareness and what do you do if you feel like your friend is at risk for suicide. And a lot of the kids said, well, it's not our business. You know, we'll try to talk to them, but, you know, we didn't know what to do. You know, go with them, you know, make it your business, make the call. There's a hotline you can call. And of the kids who their friends called and said, look, I think my friend is at risk for suicide, and yeah, their friends were mad, but then they turned around and said, you know what, I was so thankful that you called or that you told someone that I was at risk. There's also other warning signs. So our kids, they're maturing a lot faster, and so we think that they can handle things a lot better. But the brain doesn't really isn't done developing until you're 21. So we see increased drug use, we see increased alcohol use, increased cigarette smoking. Those are all mind-altering chemicals, and so as the brain is still developing, you're introducing these new chemicals that's altering the way that your brain is supposed to develop. So if we take more time and pay more attention to our youth and see the things that they're engaged in, the things that they're exposed to, our media, it's repetitive that, you know, I'm a man, I can do this by myself, it's all about me, 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 I can do this, I can do that, but none of us exist independently. And I think that's something we need to begin addressing with our young black men and young black boys, is that you're not more of a man that you can do it all by yourself. You're not more of a man if you cry or if you go talk to somebody. And it's going to take more of our older men to step back and demonstrate that and model that behavior, because youth learn by modeling. So when we talk about what can the older generation do, donate your time, sacrifice your time to go and be a listening ear. A lot of times kids only want you to listen. They don't really want you to say anything. Just listen, nod your head, hug them, wipe their tears. But really the equation is not that hard. It's just about us making it a point and being purposeful about the things and the opportunities that we have available to us, because it's here. We have the opportunities and the resources, but we don't take advantage of them. And so one thing I was realizing when I was growing up in Chicago, I grew up on the basketball court in the cold and the heat. And so as I was reading more about Tookie, I learned, you know, he grew up on the court, he went to Lonsdale Recreation Center, and so we got to realize that these rec centers or these after-school programs, they are more than just an after-school program. These are lifesavers. These are places where our kids can be safe, where our kids can have an outlet. They might be exposed to poetry, never knew it, but they were a poet and didn't know it. Or they are exposed to basket weaving for all I care, but they were giving another avenue, something else to channel their energy into. We have to expose our kids and give them new dreams. I know that, you know, we are athletic people, right? But even my mom told me, you know, okay, you keep putting all your eggs in basketball, you gotta have something to fall back on. And what happened? I chased and tried to come to UT to play basketball and blew my knee out and didn't have anything to fall back on. And so while we encourage our youth to be athletically talented, we have to encourage other things about themselves that they can be proud of. You're very smart, you're creative, you can sing well. You might not be the best singer, but you can sing well. But giving them those opportunities to excel in, exposing them to doing different opportunities that they can be awakened to, that they might have a college scholarship to something that they would never have known because they weren't given that opportunity. So as adults and as the older generation, it's up to us. Our kids are not going to walk themselves into these programs. Our kids are not going to sign themselves up. It's up to us to do that. And we see the community and the tight-knit family that Tookie had, and we just need to model that behavior around all the other kids and not wait till it's too late, you know, to really take it upon ourselves. Just one child, if you take one child under your wing, and invest in that child. And investing doesn't mean money, just read them a book or take them to the movies, something to let them know that they have someone who cares. So those are my thoughts.
Those are great thoughts. Thank you very much.
We're actually out of time this evening. If you would like to read the story or watch the film again, you can go to tookiestory.com, and that's with 2 S's. tookiestory.com. Special thanks to Helen Mossman Knapp Center, K-Town Youth Empowerment Network, and the Tennessee Suicide Prevention Network. All these resources are available to you tonight. If you're tweeting, you can use the hashtag RIP Tookie or Tookie. And then a memorial fund has been set up to offset funeral expenses at the Knoxville TVA Credit Union under the name Nicole Daniels. So if you would like to make a contribution, you can do that.
My name is Crystal Armstrong. I'm known in this community as the youth pastor at Overcoming Believers Church. I'm here tonight as the youth coordinator and the COC coordinator for K-Town Youth Empowerment Network. I'm here tonight because I want to let the family know what Tookie's life has inspired. In the days following Tookie's death, we heard from many youth who are experiencing the same hopelessness and the same grief. We lost so many young people in this community over the last few years, and so much that they've gone through has not addressed. And so we took that back to K-Town Youth Empowerment Network, and I'm speaking on behalf of our project director tonight with the goal of finding some solutions. Tookie inspired 2 questions for us, and I think for the entire community, but especially for young people, and that's what can we do to keep this from happening with our friends, and what can we do after it happens so that we can heal. And we have a tendency to keep moving on, and to keep holding stuff in and to keep surviving and keep fighting, but what we wanted to do was to encourage healing. And so K-Town Youth Empowerment Network is sponsoring 2 opportunities, Ms. Rollins, for individuals who want the information. We started the search immediately after it to find what resources were available in this community. What we found is that there are pieces of things that are offered. There's information, there are organizations who are doing the work. Those resources have not been making it into our communities. So our goal is to make sure that what is available at large is available to us. So we're offering 2 trainings this summer. The first is called a QPR training. QPR stands for Question, Persuade, Respond, and it walks individuals through, no matter what your background, no matter who you are, youth, adults, elders, ministers, teachers, community members. It walks you through what to look for, what those warning signs are, and what you're supposed to say in those situations when someone expresses their hopelessness. And so we're inspired to prepare other people to have those courageous conversations, to know how to question. So what do I say? What do I not say? And how do I refer? How do I let them know what's available? There's a sign-up sheet for that training. It's a 2-hour training. We want to get as many people in our community trained as possible to know how to respond in situations where there's a potential suicide or a threat, period. The second thing that we want to offer is a debriefing training, which is what do we do as a community once a crisis happens, so that no family, no individual, no community has to go through it alone. We're offering a 2-day training for anyone who would like to participate in how to respond to a crisis. So whenever there's something that happens that's a tragedy that affects us all, how do we respond to that as a community? How do we remain united? How do we talk through those issues? And how do we respond together? So sign-ups for both of those trainings are in the back. Thank you again to the family for sharing Tookie with us. We are very proud to carry this on in his legacy, and we are proud to be here tonight.
Thank you very much.
Yes, briefly, everyone was saying that they didn't know what to do, and we did not address that, and I want to quickly address that tonight. If you feel that someone is going through these things, keep that open, non-judgmental dialogue, and then also refer them to a place like Keller Ross McNabb or the Suicide Awareness Center or this training that we're talking about. There's always 911 that you can call, and there's mobile crisis, and then you may also go to any local emergency room who will refer you to one of the local resources that is here tonight. And so there are quick things that you can do, just like giving an open ear, asking them if they do have that plan, and if they do have that plan, go ahead and reach out to an emergency facility.
Thank you very much, Portia. Let me do this. Are there any other family members that want to say something tonight? Nikki, would you like to say something?
I would just like to let everybody know that Philip, you know, not saying that counseling does not work, but he had several counselors. And 9 times out of 10, when he would come out of there, he would go in there talking about him. He would come out talking about them. I would know what kind of furniture they had in their house, what car they drove, how many kids they had, when they got married. So I'm not saying that counseling doesn't work. I'm just saying he had a way. It was just the way his thinking process, he could turn it around to where it ended up all about him and not about him. So he had counseling many a times that a lot of people didn't know about, but Philip, his mind was just, his mind and personality, he was over and exceedingly above his mind and thoughts that a lot of people, he was 18, but he was like 25. I mean, he had everything that we were supposed to have for him, but in his mind and him going through that, nobody was in his shoes. So I say this, to say when a child has something that they long for, and it's not on earth and you can't get it to them, what do you do?
again, you do just address, you keep the open dialogue with that person and just talk to them about the reasonable thing for them to do, that, you know, maybe taking your life is not the thing for you to do, and that there are other people here that love you, and to stay back here with these other people. You know, I don't know what he was going through, and I don't know what you guys were going through with him. And, you know, the first counselors are his family members. And you know, just for you to address those things with him that he wants in life is a start for you to do that. But, you know, if in the end you've done all that you can do, then you do have to just kind of refer them to somebody else that can handle the different situations that are not talking about their households and things in counsel, that is actually doing what they're supposed to be doing in that area.